Hello, welcome back to WIMBA. This is Professor Young, and we are preparing to begin our journey of looking at the cardiovascular system from the perspective of flow, fluid movement. And this is going to have us not only looking at the direction of blood flow, which we kind of already know, but I'm going to review with you a little bit. But also, there's that darn phone that rings every time I do this. But we're also going to look at the physics behind how the cardiovascular system moves. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. This first WIMBA is going to be rather short, and as it's going to represent the beginning part of this series of lectures, and then we'll do the next one as well, which will be a little bit longer in general. So keep in mind that we started out this chapter with a little story that had us really looking at how our understanding of the circulatory system specifically has changed over time. And it was back in the 1600s that it was once thought that the liver really was the epicenter of blood collection and distribution. That the veins led out of the liver, the liver released the blood, and at that point in time, the veins would carry it to the heart, where once in the heart, it would mix with oxygen being delivered from the lungs, and that would happen or take place within the heart. And once that blood became oxygenated within the heart, it would then leave and go to the rest of the body, and then as it lost its oxygen, it would return back to the liver. And we understand that is not the case. That is not the case. And that was discovered by Dr. William Harvey, who again in the 1600s said, something just doesn't seem right here. And so this is not a cut and dry topic that we are dealing with. There's a lot that goes in with this, and I can probably almost guarantee you that even as time goes on and technology becomes better, our understanding of biochemistry becomes better, there may be some slight changes done to what we are learning currently. And that's really true for all of anatomy and physiology. And so if we had to condense everything that we know about the cardiovascular system into three brief statements, it would be the three statements that you see in front of you. The cardiovascular system is based on pressure, and the pressure is generated in the heart, and that pressure generated within the heart, the ventricles, is what propels the blood through the rest of the circulatory system. And so that's the one important concept that we need to understand. Second one, blood is oxygenated in the lungs. And once oxygenated, it goes back to the heart to be distributed throughout the body, mainly for the purpose of nutrients, which will also then collect the nutrients specifically within the intestines and bring it to the rest of the body. And the third key factor that we need to understand about the cardiovascular system is blood is going to remove carbon dioxide and it's going to remove cellular waste. And so they're the three key concepts that you need to understand about the cardiovascular system. And there's some other little tidbits there. 5 to 10 seconds without blood to the brain, you will inevitably lose consciousness. And then 5 to 10 minutes without blood to the brain is when you will begin to experience brain damage. Now, this may seem obvious to you, but we understand that we have arteries, veins, and capillaries. And we understand that we have valves as well. I mention this here simply because it's good to review this. Sometimes I think we forget to review the basics, and we forget. The arteries are vessels, any vessel that is going to be leaving the heart. So the pulmonary arteries that leave the heart are carrying, remember, unoxygenated blood. But yet the aorta, which is an artery that leaves the heart, is carrying oxygenated blood. And so arteries can carry both oxygenated and unoxygenated blood, just as veins can carry both oxygenated and unoxygenated blood to the heart. And then, of course, the capillaries are going to be very, very, very thin, very small vessels that are kind of the go-between between our arterial system and our venous system, or the return system. And the last thing that I want to review with you is just to make sure that we all are on the same page as far as blood flow throughout the heart. And so we should, hopefully, at this stage of the game, be well aware of the fact that blood is going to, let me see if I can get a good color here. Let's do blue. That blood is going to enter through the inferior vena cava, as well as through the superior vena cava. And once it does enter into the inferior and superior vena cava, it enters into the right atrium. Once in the right atrium, we know that it goes through the tricuspid valve and down into the right ventricle. Once in the right ventricle, it kind of does that little U-turn, comes up through the pulmonary semilunar valve, where that unoxygenated blood will go to the left and the right pulmonary arteries, respectively. And that will then, of course, lead it to the lungs. We will deal with, once we get into the respiratory system, what happens in the lungs. But for right now, all you need to understand is that it becomes oxygenated in the arteries, or I'm sorry, in the lungs. And upon being oxygenated in the lungs, that blood is going to enter into the pulmonary veins, which is going to bring that nice red oxygen-rich blood into the left atrium, down through the bicuspid valve into the left atrium. From the left atrium, it's going to do that little U-turn and swing up around and come into the aortic valve, where it will promptly leave the heart, go into the aorta. We understand now, or we will during the next Wimba session, that blood is diverted from the aorta into the coronary arteries, both the right and the left branch of the coronary arteries. And so that's the first exit point, if you would, for blood once it has left the heart. And then, of course, it will also leave or go out into the brachialis or the brachials and into the cephalic, up the coronary arteries into the neck. And still yet more blood will leave the descending branch of the aorta and go into the pulmonary, or the trunk, the aortic trunk, as it flows through the body. And so that's basically what we have for this session of Wimba. Again, I said it was going to be a short session, and it was exactly that. And review this if you need to. Keep studying. Otherwise, go ahead and click on the next session of Wimba, where we will talk a little bit more in depth about coronary blood flow and exactly how it does that throughout the body. And we will revisit our good old buddy Paswell and look at exactly what gifted understanding he gave us about blood flow through these vessels.